One, calling people out immediately. I think whenever they say something, I think a lot of people are worried about ruining the vibe. Like if someone said something just like, oh, it's just a joke, why are you making things serious? It's literally standing on those things as soon as they happen and calling them out.
So dismantling anti-black attitudes within sort of our personal circle, so like our friends, neighbours, family members, etc., has to come with, I think, it sort of comes back to the point of discomfort. Like whatever conversation that you need to have with someone will be uncomfortable, and it can be confrontational as well. So I think, I don't know, like Christmas dinner with the family and, racist uncle says something. Although in that situation it might not be normal for example, you to say something or stand up, it does take, I guess, you have to delve into the discomfort and be brave in that situation to call out whatever they said, that action, that sentence, the language that they used. Because if you don't, who will?
Not feeling included. And I think that's a big thing to look out for in university communities. Are you sure you're being inclusive to students from black communities? Have you looked about how you're addressing to them, how you're talking to them, how you're trying to include them?
Like on campus, I know that some people are like experiencing different cultures for the first time. Instead of like discriminating, which could like be in the form of microaggressions as well. Like most of the time, it's microaggressions that people don't notice. Just like think before you say stuff. Like really think. Like if someone said something to you, like, oh, why do you eat that? That's so gross. Like think how that might be related to a person's culture. And like in terms of black people, like, yeah, I know like our hair is different, but like some comments such as like, why did it do that, or why is it so dry, is like kind of like, that's also a microaggression that you might not realize that it's harmful, but it could build up like on other racist acts.
Be much more harsh, I guess. Harsh and like investigate things to a much higher level when there are instances of like racist conduct reported.
Just pushing institutions to do a lot better, because they can't, one person can do so much, but if everyone comes collectively and rocks up to this place and they're just like, you need to do better, these are the steps you need to do, otherwise we're gonna go on strike, or etc. I think those kind of things, just helping in any way that you can.
If you actually have like black friends, then asking them like what you can do on a night out to make them feel safe, because obviously I don't know what makes them feel safe and what doesn't.
I've heard a lot of stories of basically people of one race being turned away at nightclubs. I think in in the situation that I saw, the whole rest of the group, who were almost all white, they still went in even after they got like kicked out, which I mean I think that's that's just not even the bare minimum. I think like the bare minimum you can do in that situation is not refuse to go and find somewhere else. Instead of like just casting that person out. If you see something, say something. Like if you see someone getting like racially harassed even by like a patron or an employee, elevate it, make a fuss, and do something about it instead of just like taking it as just something that happens.
One of the best ways to go forward is to be an active bystander. There are some guidelines, the 5Ds for example. Personally, I find that maybe the best way is to understand being a bystander is sometimes the absolute best thing you can do.
If you see your friend, I understand that it's like in certain instances you can't just be like, hey, don't do that, because it might be dangerous, but if you could like be a shoulder for someone to be leaning on during that night out, or like even help the person to call the police, like because I know that like a few months ago there were like violent attacks on people of color, so if you see someone doing something, you could reach out like to them or even the police.
If you feel comfortable enough to take out your kind of phone and record the situation, because more often than not I've heard of examples where nothing's been able to happen in physical assaults because there's been no evidence. And so if you feel comfortable doing that, I think that's important.
I think another important thing to do there is though also always remember to give the person who has been the survivor of whatever has happened, that footage, and give them the power to decide what happens with that.
I've literally, my first freshers was years ago now, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and I remember I was with a mate and he had like a massive afro, and this girl just went up and like touched and said, "Oh my gosh, it feels like a microphone," and we're just kind of there like, you know, we were scared, so we didn't say anything. We couldn't say anything because, you know, you're in that vibe where you're like, you don't want to ruin the energy, just you don't want to start something. But now it's gotten to a certain point where we really need to continuously keep calling this out. And I think if you're on a night out and you're with someone from a marginalised community and you see them being picked on or someone saying something very, very disgusting to them, you need to stand up for them. And I think, you know, that person going home knowing that someone supports them rather than going home and think there's no one here for me, that is a horrible feeling. And yeah, we just need to stand together as a community and be like, okay, I've seen this out, maybe your friends are there as well and they also call it out. Just making sure that person's still okay, checking in on them, because you will probably go home and feel fine, but they'll go home and God knows how they feel. And I think, especially on night outs, you just call it out as soon as you see it, and yeah, I think that'll be a good way to go.